Hey everybody, this is Dust for Dust on Gaming with a little bit of M19 Standard Sendoff. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you really like what you're seeing and want to support the channel, we have a Patreon page if you want to help the channel to grow. This is kind of a series I've started last year when the channel started, and then this year. And it's kind of tradition in that as a standard thing is kind of coming to a close. I tend to play like some of the top or interesting decks as things. Up, Space Marine. Tend to play the top or interesting decks, you know, just so we can compare from year to year, like what the various standard formats kind of look like. So far, we've done red, black, aggro, blue, black, mid range, blue, white, control. I have some videos for Bant Turbo Fog in the thing I gotta do a video on. Obviously, Esper Control was the thing. There's a mono red Wizards deck. There's a mono blue aggro deck that's kind of popped up here at the end of the format. A couple other things. But the format's coming to a close here in a week or so, but I need to get some of these videos cranked out. So, one of the decks that's going to survive in some form of rotation. It gets better. I'm going to get into that here in a second, Space Marine. It gets better in some regards, it gets worse in others. So, one of the key cards in the deck that is going away is Blossoming Defense. This card's been the bane of many control and spot removal cards throughout the last couple of years. It's obviously sees play in formats even like Legacy and in Modern. In the Infect decks, makes it difficult to target creatures with removal, especially when Vraska's Contempt's one of the big removal spells in the format for some of your bigger creatures. Helps you push through damage, kind of does it all. It's essentially a green counterspell for spot removal. This list obviously starts with Land of War Elves, works its way up all the way to Galta. So this is basically get big stuff on the board, get your opponent dead. Uses things like Heart of Kiran and Scrap Heap Scrounger to stay in the game against more controlling decks. And then other than that, just plays like Greenbout Rampager, plays Ronus, plays Thrashing Brontodon, plays Steel Leaf Champion, plays Vinemare and Galta, just pound for pound, the most powerful creatures per mana cost, probably in the standard format. Vinemare gives control decks fits. It's hard for them to remove outside of a sweeper or something like Settle the Wreckage. You have to have a counterspell for it, especially if you're a blue-black based control deck. Ether Sphere Harvester helps you race against the aggro decks, since the mono-red and the red-black decks can kind of get under you a little bit. And then beyond that, this is the black splash list. There's also a blue splash list. The difference between the two is basically the sideboard cards. The black splash list gets to run Scrap Heap Scrounger as an additional kind of resilient threat. The blue list gets to run things like Negate and Spell Pierce against the controlling decks. So they both have their place. Both will survive rotation in some form or other. Obviously, this loses like Blossoming Defense, Heart of Kiran, Scrap Heap Scrounger, but it gets to keep the Land of War Elves into Steel Leaf Champion, Thrashing Brontodon, Vinemare, Galta. They all get to stick around. Deck's going to be dangerous, especially since this is one of the few proven decks that's going to be able to run Assassin's Trophy. So a deck with that kind of a clock and that clean of an answer to most things, that's going to be a little bit scary. It's going to be probably, I don't know if it's going to be one of the top decks in the new format. A lot of it depends on how the new format shapes up. But it's one of the decks in addition to kind of the blue-white X control decks that kind of survive rotation in some form or other. Sideboard, you have access to cards like Duress and Vivian Reed to kind of grind against the control decks, as well as Lifecrafters Bestiary. Fatal Push comes in matchups where decks are trying to get under you. And Contempt's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to run. The black splash is just going to be a splash in this deck. I don't think the mana is going to be quite good enough to support Vraska's Contempt. I think they'd have to go a little more mid-rangey Space Marine. And then Hour of Glory helps you to answer the bigger creatures right now in the format. Things like opposing Ronuses, opposing Hazarats, opposing Scarab Gods. There's a lot of things in the format that Hour of Glory answers that this deck otherwise would have a lot of issues with. And then obviously with the new spoiled Assassin's Trophy, this deck's going to get a very clean answer to things like Planeswalkers or problematic creatures. And the deck probably has enough speed that it doesn't necessarily care about giving your opponent an extra land. Full on Golgari mid-range. Remains to be seen if the supporting cards are there. Like, this deck could go up to Vraska and such. It remains to be seen what the format's going to look like. Golgari mid-range could certainly potentially be good, but that's 2 to 3 weeks away, so it's kind of hard to tell what the format's going to shake out like. Go ahead and start playing some things here. So how are you doing today, Space Marine? Guess I'd like to play first. So this deck is a lot of fun. Your best draws are kind of dependent upon having an elf in your opener, but with only 4, you can't really always mulligan to those hands. This hand's fine. I mean, obviously it depends on how fast our opponent's deck is, but so yeah, I know the feeling. I think my nap today was as long as my night's sleep last night. Alright, looks like we're playing against the mono blue aggro deck. Which, that's a deck that I'm interested in playing a few matches with before the rotation here. Holy wowzers. It's a lot of card draw. Get our Steel Leaf Champion going here. I'm doing alright. I had a test yesterday I did pretty well on, so I was happy about that. I was actually expecting to do worse than I did, so happy with that. So, a lot of stuff going on. I have like 5 videos I need to make. Yeah, I have like 5 videos that I need to make over the next several days, just from backloaded videos. So, are we just dead? So, 8. Galta costs way too much mana right now. So, I guess I just play out another Steel Leaf Champion and pretend I got like a whatchamacallit here, or too far behind because I didn't have a fast enough start. So that has quite a bit of closing speed for a mono blue aggro deck. Like, this is turn 4, they're threatening turn 5 lethal. And they probably have a counterspell at this point. One of the big name Japanese players was playing this at their nationals. Yeah, how much of it survives rotation? Unsummon. Like, I haven't really looked too closely at the list because thought it was just kind of a flash in the pan kind of thing. But yeah, we're definitely losing this game. Deep freeze. Alright, so probably want the fatal pushes, at least some number of them. I don't know, maybe the Naturalize effect? I don't know, that might be getting too cute here. How you doing, sideboard? Slither Blade and summon, but they get to use unblockable Merfolk. So almost all of it survives. Yeah, mono green's gonna survive, mono blue's gonna survive. Grixis Dragons will be sort of a thing. Blue black control will be okay-ish. it has the tools, whether it's good enough or not. So there's a lot of decks. So just want to make my thumbnail for tonight. What deck are you going to be working on tonight, Sideboard? You got a lot of stuff you got to crank out before the end of the format, don't you? Probably get these Vine Mares out of the deck. They're not that particularly good. This hand's a little slow. I think it's alright. We've got Heart into Scrounger. Marionette Master. Yeah, there's a lot, like, there's a lot in Standard right now that I honestly wish the Standard format had come down, like, 6 months earlier than it did. Like, the bannings were so kind of clutch for the format. It's really a shame that it took so long for them to come down and kind of fix all the screw-ups of the energy mechanic. And obviously Feldar Guardian. Need a forest here. Would be ideal. Yeah. Now I'm in the awkward spot of, because of the tap land, I wanted to play a Scrounger and Rampager, or Scrounger hold up Fatal Push. Now I just pretty much have to play Scrounger and get in with either an attack or a block. Probably an attack, because they can go around a lot of our crap. Yeah. Like, I've really enjoyed the Standard format, but obviously I'm more of a Modern player at heart. I'm just really happy that the cards that I needed for Esper Control and Esper Nexus were kind of printed. So it's going to suck not having access to the White Dual Land, the Hallowed Fountain or Godless Shrine for right now. But I'm very happy that Blue-Black Control will kind of survive here. Yeah, it definitely feels like a racing situation. So 7 Gulta would still cost Gulta would cost 5 still, so we can't play that this turn. I guess it's just play Rampager 3 times and hold up Fatal Push. Trigger on the stack, crew this with that. I honestly think the way, like, it's really going to be kind of hard to tell how the format's going to shape up too terribly much. Oh, wait. Greenbelt Rampager and Fatal Push, that's a thing. I'm an idiot. But, yeah, a lot of it's going to depend on, like, how many token decks are going to be out there, whether Contempt sees a lot of play. And I think, without them reprinting another fog effect here, this return, alright, so crew. Without them playing another fog effect in the format, Turbo Fog's not going to be a thing for right now. So, I mean, it will be, but it won't be anywhere near as good. So, really kind of hard to say how things shape out. Yeah, and Blue-Red Wizards is still going to be a thing too, so there's a lot of scary stuff that's going to be going on in the format. I don't know how well position control is going to be. So this is a kind of a rough situation here. I think I just hold up Blossoming Defense and pass the turn. Maybe our opponent's really going with this attack. Yeah, I think alright, I mean, what else am I going to do besides fire this up, right? Not sure if this is our opponent's only play because of, see if they try to target here. If they have Pierce, I guess we get blown out. I think they'd be hard-pressed to leave in Pierce against a deck with so few instants, though. Okay, I stand corrected. They hadn't summoned. But Runus doesn't block anything. Runus doesn't block anything anyway, so other than the servo, I guess. Because I guess the Exclusion Mage. That would have been a better play. I'm not used to playing around this deck as much, so it's kind of a... Yeah, opponent had all the answers. So right now, Runus costs... I think I just jam Heart, crew it, and then play Ghalta here. Gives up some damage, but it gets Ghalta on the board, so I think that's worth it. Especially while the opponent's tapped out here. Opponent may still be able to tempo us, so... Yeah, there's a lot of, like, all of the tribal synergies will have a chance to shine. You know, Dinos will be the big mid-range deck. Mono green aggro will be a thing, especially with a green black splash with a trophy. Okay. This mono blue deck will certainly be worth exploring. Yeah, I mean, Ixalan's been relevant to a certain degree. I think that, should I have Vivian Reed in the deck? 5 mana to kill a creature seems like an awful lot of mana. Yeah, there's a tokens deck waiting to be had. There's the vampires deck will be reasonable. Merfolk will be decent. Grixis Dragons could be a thing. Blue-black control, splashing like Teferi, and Hour's too slow. You don't... I don't like playing 4-mana answers or 3-mana threats into counter spells. We've got to be on the board early. I mean, it might be worth bringing in, but I don't think it's worth it, especially when our opponent's, I think, biggest creature is 3 mana. And that's really slow on the draw. Like, I understand wanting to be the control deck, but I don't think we have the tools for... Yeah, I think Contempt's going to get worse simply because I think the format's going to be more about broad-based. I think Contempt actually is going to be worse, not necessarily just because of your point, sideboard, but I also think the fact of Assassin's Trophy being in the format is going to make it worse because you can't rely as much on one single card, permanent-based card, to win a lot of matchups. Like, you're not going to have a lot of... there's not a whole lot of indestructible surviving, and it's going to be really hard to leverage, like, one particular card. And I think... Yeah. That, and I think a lot of people presume that Chain Whirler stock's going to go down, so that means the token decks are going to have a little bit more room to flourish, at least initially, until there's some type of Chain Whirler. Until there's some type of Chain Whirler shenanigans out there. Like, I could see the Bolus Red deck coming back once we get some more of the shock lands. Like, some type of, like, Kari Zev into, so what threat do I run out here into potential counter spells? Yeah, the Angels deck's going to be a little bit rough for a lot of these. There's a whole lot of things in Standard that's going to be a lot of fun, so I'm kind of looking forward to Standard rotation, and I'm kind of glad I have a deck that's still going to be at least potentially playable. Maybe not good right away, but playable. I'm just jamming, but this is probably going to get countered, but... Oh, didn't get countered. I'm kind of shocked there. I was just going to get bounced by, like, Trickster or something here. Mm-hmm. No. I have Esper Control right now, and I'm going to switch it over to blue-black, Splash Teferi, and Chromium with the Nexus of Fate package, similar to what similar to the deck that it's basically going to be Esper, but it's going to be pretty much blue-black control for right now until the new format settles in. Yeah, plus Ali had that version that was running Ali had the version that was running the Nexus of Fate. So I think I'm going to try that for right now, because I don't think Control is going to be able to control the game for a long period of time. So I think you just want, like, Cast Down, Murder, Vraska's Contempt, Teferi, a couple counter spells, Search for Azcanta, the new draw 2 spell with Jumpstart. I think the pieces are there. A lot of it depends on, like, how the format's going to shape up. Because until you get the Godless Shrine and Hallowed Fountain, you really can't splash Settle the Wreckage or the White Sweeper. So you're going to have to rely on that 4-mana Black Sweeper that destroys 3 or less. That's going to leave the deck with a lot of vulnerabilities to go wide strategies or things that can get under your slightly slower removal. So it's kind of where I'm at the moment. Like 4 Teferi, 2 Chromium, and then 4 Nexus of Fate. What's up, Janshevik? How you doing? Yeah, this deck seems pretty legit, and the fact that it doesn't lose a whole lot makes it kind of scary. I'll definitely have to look into this deck post rotation here. They're discarding Great Deep Freeze. That's terrifying. Never actually played against this deck, but then again, I haven't been doing a ton of Standard either, so. I'm honestly not worried about them countering Golta. I was worried about this kind of nonsense. And this pretty much means we're just dead. Misplay on the land. Yeah, mono green hasn't been particularly good in the format. Control's been a bit of a pain for it, as has red black. Oh, I have no intentions of actually, I don't, because of Lane of War Elves here. No, you're not stupid. I didn't quite understand what you meant. But I think the bigger problem is the 4/5 flyer that I really don't have an answer to right now. Is a much bigger issue than casting Ghalta here. So if they find some way to answer our next attack, we're just dead. Why are they unsummoning Brontodon here? Do we have another effect for our... Oh, I intend to sack it. I just get the feeling they have an answer to our Ghalta here. Yeah. I was sacking, but I still think we're dead because 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, if they have a answer to this Ghalta, we're just dead on board, so. I'm guessing by the long pause they don't. Never mind. I'm sorry. Doesn't deep freeze whenever it blocks? Oh. Okay, I still don't understand. Yeah, Curious Obsession's a ridiculous card. Yep, and that gives them enough. That gives them enough to make sure they won't be dead on the crack back here. Is there any way we can force through enough damage to kill them here? Bronzodon on Deep Freeze, swing lethal, seems good. And who says aggro decks don't have play lines to them? That was kind of insane. Wasn't expecting an actual competitive match in practice leagues here, or practice things. Yeah. It's a deck I certainly wish I would have played more. I've been more focused on the modern PPTQ season and playing Esper when I was playing. Doesn't Shaper Sanctuary survive rotation? So it very well might anyway. Stands fine. Mono Green's one of those decks that we're gonna have plenty of time to toy with it anyway, so. Gobos! Get to play against Gobos! Seems like fun. I think they do different things, Janshevik. Sanctuary is better in the, Sanctuary is better in the kind of... Teshar Jack from Modern. What's up, War Dog? I'm not even familiar with Teshar as the thing here. Teshar. Oh. Helps if I allow my opponent to resolve their scry. Teshar's a flyer, isn't it? But I don't remember much beyond that. Why did I just burn energy that I didn't need to? Especially when I'm 99% sure my opponent's going to simply sack whatever I try to block this with. That was dumb. So dumb to waste my energy. This off the board. Yep. Oh, Invigorated Rampage. Sure. I'm cool with that exchange. I figured they just sack their dude. Teshar. Apostle's Disciple. Oh, okay. Yeah, Teshar could certainly be a build-around card in Modern. Throw a class from the grave to the battlefield. Last year or two. And Legacy, even more than Modern. Modern's a lot about having more than in Standard. Turn 4 combo, think KCI with creatures, Scrap Troller deck. Definitely could be interesting. Modern, once you get beyond the top, my biggest advice about Modern is play a deck that's either a fast aggro deck, a fast combo deck, or goes over the top, like blue-white control or Tron. You really don't want to play decks in the middle unless you really know your meta. So, like, you need a deck that's capable of turn 4 kills, or you need a deck that's, yeah. See if our opponent does anything silly here. Killing on 4 is pretty reasonable as long as you're consistent. Like, a deck like Aetherworks Marvel isn't good because it's not consistent enough. So, Siege Gang Commander. Wowzers. I think we're in some trouble, gang. If we had a way to kill this stupid, trash dude, we'd be fine. But I think, as is, we're in some trouble here. Yeah, I agree there, Foz. I'm just saying, if you want to be competitive in Modern on a consistent basis, those are kind of the, it all depends on, like, how you're... Really? Okay, so... just die? Alright. Not gonna complain about the freebie. A lot of it, like, 4 is generally the groundwork for the format. Doesn't mean you have to consistently kill on turn 4 if you can interact with what your opponent's doing. Oh, I agree there, Jankovic. It, like, a lot of people just play decks because they want to have fun in Modern, which is fine. I mean, you just have to understand that you're going to lose some amount of the games because you're not playing one of the tier 1 stuff. Like, I have a friend who's a local grinder that's kind of burned himself into the ground. And it's like, I told him, I'm like, dude, you really need to take a step back and, like, you know, take a couple weeks off, and then just next time you play in a bigger event that you're really stressed about, just play something simple. Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate, Foz. I think you definitely want I think you definitely want to balance, even if you're playing, like, even if you're playing Magic to win and as a living, if you play a deck and something you absolutely despise, it's no different than, you know, going to a job that you despise every day. It's like, like, do I really want to be doing this? Like, a lot of people want to make a living off of Magic because it's fun. You know, as opposed to something like, you know, working in retail, for instance. You know, it's just, like, a lot of people that, you know, so. See if our elves all die. Yeah, agreed. Like, I think there's a certain degree of like a guy like Hooglin who, you know, made a name for himself playing decks and events, and even now he's more like locked in on streaming and stuff as his and there's nothing wrong with that sideboard, especially if it's something you enjoy. You know? You know? Like, someday I'd love to make a living as a gaming content producer, but for right now, I'm realistic enough to understand that that's not my forte right now. So, you know, I'm doing this on the side as fun, while also working on, you know, other stuff. So, ugh. Chain Whirler's a little rough. Maybe? Like, I set a goal I set a couple Magic goals this year, in paper. I wanted to qualify for the local event at my store. I wanted to play in a couple PPTQs, see what happens. But I wasn't going to go, like, I work a good bit of weekends. I work 40 hours. I have school right now. Like, I played in 3 PPTQs this year. I think I just take this attack. Maybe. This is a rough one. This attack is either they have an Invigorated Rampage. So right now, next turn, I can deal 7. I think I just take this attack. If they want to use their pump spell, they can use their pump spell. It depends on the nature of the sponsorship, but I don't think so 6, 10. Yeah, I smelled a Rampage that whole way, but there really was no good blocks. So well, advertising is definitely a large portion of the game, but I think this is just somebody playing a deck for fun. Sideboard. This is a Goblins deck, so I mean, can't really read too much into it. So, huh. I'm going to do a little bit of a weird play here. That way I get my energy threshold below 2. And I can use it to... Yeah, it's actually quite nice. There's a part of me that wonders if some of this core isn't... some of this core isn't, like, modern playable, even. at least as a lower tier aggro deck. And play the Rampager back out here. Does leave us with no energy to gain life, which kind of sucks, but does give us 3 or 4 potential blockers. Actually, I screwed up. I could have crewed Harvester and Heart this turn by that trick. I wonder if we're just going to die to burn spells here. This smells like Rampage, doesn't it? Yeah, there's a lot of like little tricks to this deck that I don't know that I threw the game away, but it certainly would have helped if I would have sequenced things correctly. So I want to leave lethal on board if possible. So I think I'm going to crew this. Crew this. Yeah, sorry. Didn't I'm trying to focus as much on the game and not really like paying attention to every little detail. Sorry, sideboard. You better get your thumbnail made so you can do your stream tonight, man. Yeah, green was the one that embraced them. Well, that's because so that's gonna put that to 7 power. So do this to stay alive. Don't forget to send your Teshar list. I might be able to like try to take a look at it. Are we actually going to win this game? I mean, swing lethal. Yeah, I figured I'd won, but you never know. But as much fun as that was, unfortunately, I don't have a ton more time to stream tonight because I got to be in bed for 4 a.m. wake up hour. So thoughts on the deck? The deck's still pretty good. It has a lot more play to it than, like, I would say even a burn deck, much as that pains me as a burn player. But a lot of this survives. Yeah, losing Blossoming D is going to suck. So, but I want to thank everybody for hanging out tonight. It's been a blast. I mean, obviously I have a couple more standard decks to get to this week. I have some other previously played matches to get to with some modern decks, but I want to do a live stream tonight. I put up the Bedlam Scred that I played after the stream on Saturday. This video obviously will be up. I have some Esper Control to play. I have some mono red aggro to play. I probably have some mono blue aggro to play. So, alright, that'd be great. So I have a lot of things going on right now. I don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to try to get to everything as much as I can. So, a lot of content's going to be coming out the next couple days. It's about all I can say. But obviously time dependent because of work and school. So mono green aggro still kicks butt. Most of it survives, so this is a deck we'll have to learn to play with, play around. Obviously, losing heart, scrap heap, the blossoming defense, but it's keeping the core of what. Yeah. I'm not playing that much control lately, War Dog. Other than the Jeskai Miracles League that I still have to record the games of. That was pretty entertaining. So. Pelts Collector is a nice one. There's a lot of cards that'll be popping up in Standard and even in Modern with the new set. New set looks pretty sweet, but most Ravnica sets are pretty sweet. So there'll be a lot going on, a lot of stuff, a lot of spoilers. Yeah, Space Marine. Alright guys, it's been a blast. Anyone catching this video later, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you're an OG to the channel and you'd love to support the channel on Patreon, that'd be great. I was more for Marine than you. Yeah, the Shocklands are definitely going to get played. So we'll see what happens. It's been great hanging out with everybody. Sideboard, go get your thumbnail down so you don't get yourself in trouble on your stream, man. Been a blast for you hanging out tonight. Hope to catch you more on stream. Hope to catch your stream more if I don't have to go to bed at freaking 10 o'clock or earlier. So I will catch everybody later. Thanks everybody for hanging out. And it's been a blast. This is Dusk for Dusk to Dawn Gaming.